Are ngendani dah?
No.
No.
Iwan no nomornya.
Oh, ya wis. Ya wis ya.
Iya, kalau.
Ya, mulai.
Selamat datang di program studi Administrasi Pendidikan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan merupakan salah satu program studi di bawah jurusan Administrasi Publik Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan berdiri dengan adanya SK penyelenggara pada tanggal 17 Oktober 2014. Program studi ini berada di bawah naungan keilmuan administrasi publik, sehingga program studi administrasi pendidikan ini berbeda dengan program studi administrasi pendidikan yang lain, karena core kompetensinya adalah ilmu administrasi publik. Profil lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah sebagai pengelola lembaga pendidikan yang profesional, berbudaya, dan berwawasan global. Visi program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah menjadikan program studi administrasi pendidikan sebagai institusi ilmiah yang mampu menghasilkan ahli administrasi pendidikan yang profesional dan bertanggung jawab terhadap pengembangan ilmu. Adapun beberapa misi program studi administrasi pendidikan yang diantaranya adalah 1. Mewadahi dinamika internal sivitas akademika di lingkungan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi, terutama yang berminat pada ilmu administrasi pendidikan. 2. Turut memberi kontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang mempunyai keterampilan profesional dan pengabdian prima terhadap nusa dan bangsa. 3. Menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak, baik lembaga pemerintah pusat maupun pemerintah daerah, serta lembaga pendidikan kedinasan, guna meningkatkan peranan yang strategis dari Dharma perguruan tinggi.
Dalam hal ini, Prodi Administrasi Pendidikan berkontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang profesional serta menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak.
Kompetensi utama lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain Adapun capaian pembelajaran dalam program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain pendidikan diampu oleh dosen-dosen yang mumpuni di bidangnya. Tidak hanya dosen yang ahli pada bidangnya, program studi administrasi pendidikan juga memiliki sarana dan prasarana. Salah satunya adalah Laboratorium Teknologi Administrasi Pendidikan. Tidak hanya fasilitas yang mumpuni, Latifatul Hanim memperoleh Bronze Award dalam International Invention and Innovative Competition INLIC 2018 di Malaysia. 2. Zahria Latifatul Hanim juga memperoleh Silver Award dalam International Student Affair Invention, Innovation, and Design Competition pada 26 Maret 2019 di University Teknologi Maro, Kedah, Malaysia. 3. Kurniawan Dwi Prasetyo dan Imron Firdaus mendapatkan posisi juara 2 futsal putra dalam Liga Visip Universitas Indonesia pada tanggal 2 sampai dengan 7 April 2019 di Jakarta Timur. Imron Firdaus juga mendapatkan posisi juara 1 ISG 2018 yang diadakan di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. 4. Oktitania Berlianinda memperoleh penghargaan First Place Chamber Choir kategori, Second Place Mixed Choir kategori, serta Best Performance of Romuald Swarovski Composition dalam International Warsaw Choir Festival pada tahun 2018 di Polandia. 5. Oktitania Berlianinda juga mendapatkan posisi juara 2 lomba basket dalam acara Faculty Basketball League 2019 pada tanggal 20 April 2019 di Universitas Brawijaya. 6. Christina Puji Setiawan mendapatkan posisi juara 3 LKTIN Call for Paper Attraction 2018. juara 2 LKTIN Bursa Business Competition 2018, silver medal dalam acara Young Scientist International and Expo 2019, serta juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019, yang semuanya diselenggarakan di Universitas Brawijaya. 7. Lilis Simamora memperoleh penghargaan First Place and Gold Medal for Miss Choir kategori, Second Place and Medal for Folklore kategori, serta Grand Prix Finalis dalam acara Singapore International Choir Festival 2019. 8. Lukman Hakim, Diana Elsa, dan Satria Ilham mendapatkan posisi juara 1 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019. 9. Lolita Fadia Umah, Risma Utami, dan Lailatun Nur Ula mendapatkan juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019. 10. Rahmawati Prabawaning Tias, Belkis Widya Jatiningrum, dan Amalia Nur Faidah mendapatkan juara 3 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019. 11. Dea Monica, Elin Dian, dan Adena Chaniwang mendapatkan juara 1 poster Kaprodi Cup 2019. Dengan tenaga pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya, sarana prasarana yang mumpuni, serta kegiatan akademik yang sangat positif, maka mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan FIAUB siap bersaing bersama lulusan-lulusan lainnya di masa yang akan datang. Selamat berkarya dengan program administrasi pendidikan. Salam satu pendidikan. Selamat datang di program studi Administrasi Pendidikan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan merupakan salah satu program studi di bawah jurusan Administrasi Publik Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan berdiri dengan adanya SK penyelenggara pada tanggal 17 Oktober 2014. Program studi ini berada di bawah naungan keilmuan administrasi publik, sehingga program studi administrasi pendidikan ini berbeda dengan program studi administrasi pendidikan yang lain, karena core kompetensinya adalah ilmu administrasi publik. Profil lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah sebagai pengelola lembaga pendidikan yang profesional, berbudaya, dan berwawasan global. Visi program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah menjadikan program studi administrasi pendidikan sebagai institusi ilmiah yang mampu menghasilkan ahli administrasi pendidikan yang profesional dan bertanggung jawab terhadap pengembangan ilmu. Adapun beberapa misi program studi administrasi pendidikan yang diantaranya adalah 1. Mewadahi dinamika internal sivitas akademika di lingkungan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi, terutama yang berminat pada ilmu administrasi pendidikan. 2. Turut memberi kontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang mempunyai keterampilan profesional dan pengabdian prima terhadap nusa dan bangsa. 3. Menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak, baik lembaga pemerintah pusat maupun pemerintah daerah, serta lembaga pendidikan kedinasan, guna meningkatkan peranan yang strategis dari Dharma perguruan tinggi.
Dalam hal ini, Prodi Administrasi Pendidikan berkontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang profesional, serta menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak.
Kompetensi utama lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain Adapun capaian pembelajaran dalam program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain Pendidikan juga memiliki sarana dan prasarana. Salah satunya adalah Laboratorium Teknologi Administrasi Pendidikan. Tidak hanya fasilitas yang mumpuni, program studi ini juga memiliki kegiatan akademik yang positif. Di antaranya adalah pengadaan lomba paper dan poster Kaprodikap 2019 yang diselenggarakan untuk mahasiswa aktif program studi administrasi pendidikan. The 3-in-1 program yang terdiri dari program Visiting Professor dan Focus Group Discussion dan Seminar Nasional Administrasi Pendidikan bersama Bapak Menteri Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Republik Indonesia. Prestasi-prestasi yang pernah diraih mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan antara lain 1. Wahidah Nur Anifah dan Zahria Latifatul Hanim memperoleh Bronze Award dalam International Invention and Innovative Competition INLIC 2018 di Malaysia. 2. Zahria Latifatul Hanim juga memperoleh Silver Award dalam International Student Affair Invention, Innovation, and Design Competition pada 26 Maret 2019 di University Teknologi Maro, Kedah, Malaysia. 3. Kurniawan Dwi Prasetyo dan Imron Firdaus mendapatkan posisi juara 2 futsal putra dalam Liga Visip Universitas Indonesia pada tanggal 2 sampai dengan 7 April 2019 di Jakarta Timur. Imron Firdaus juga mendapatkan posisi juara 1 IST 2018 yang diadakan di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. 4. Oktitania Berlianinda memperoleh penghargaan First Place Chamber Choir kategori, Second Place Mixed Choir kategori, serta Best Performance of Romuald Swarovski Composition dalam International Warsaw Choir Festival pada tahun 2018 di Polandia. 5. Oktitania Berlianinda juga mendapatkan posisi juara 2 lomba basket dalam acara Fakulti Basketball League 2019 pada tanggal 20 April 2019 di Universitas Brawijaya. 6. Christina Puji Setiawan mendapatkan posisi juara 3 LKTIN Call for Paper Attraction 2018, juara 2 LKTIN Bursa Business Competition 2018, silver medal dalam acara Young Scientist International and Expo 2019, serta juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019, yang semuanya diselenggarakan di Universitas Brawijaya. 7. Lilis Simamora memperoleh penghargaan First Place and Gold Medal for Miss Choir kategori, Second Place and Medal for Folklore kategori, serta Grand Prix Finalist dalam acara Singapore International Choir Festival 2019. 8. Lukman Hakim, Diana Elsa, dan Satria Ilham mendapatkan posisi juara 1 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 9. Walita Fadia Umah, Risma Utami, dan Lailatun Nurullah mendapatkan juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 10. Rahmawati Prabawaning Tias, Belkis Widya Jatiningrum, dan Amalia Nur Faidah mendapatkan juara 3 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 11. Dea Monica, Elin Dian, dan Adena Chaniwang mendapatkan juara 1 poster Kaprodikap 2019. Dengan tenaga pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya, sarana prasarana yang mumpuni, serta kegiatan akademik yang sangat positif, maka mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan via UB siap bersaing bersama lulusan-lulusan lainnya di masa yang akan datang. Selamat berkarya dengan mahasiswa program administrasi pendidikan. Salam satu pendidikan. Selamat datang di program studi Administrasi Pendidikan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan merupakan salah satu program studi di bawah jurusan Administrasi Publik Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan berdiri dengan adanya SK penyelenggara pada tanggal 17 Oktober 2014. Program studi ini berada di bawah naungan keilmuan administrasi publik, sehingga program studi administrasi pendidikan ini berbeda dengan program studi administrasi pendidikan yang lain, karena core kompetensinya adalah ilmu administrasi publik. Profil lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah sebagai pengelola lembaga pendidikan yang profesional, berbudaya, dan berwawasan global. Visi program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah menjadikan program studi administrasi pendidikan sebagai institusi ilmiah yang mampu menghasilkan ahli administrasi pendidikan yang profesional dan bertanggung jawab terhadap pengembangan ilmu. Adapun beberapa visi program studi administrasi pendidikan diantaranya adalah 1. Mewadahi dinamika internal sivitas akademika di lingkungan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi, terutama yang berminat pada ilmu administrasi pendidikan. 2. Turut memberi kontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang mempunyai keterampilan profesional dan pengabdian prima terhadap nusa dan bangsa. 3. Menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak, baik lembaga pemerintah pusat maupun pemerintah daerah, serta lembaga pendidikan kedinasan, guna meningkatkan peranan yang strategis dari Dharma perguruan tinggi.
Dalam hal ini, Prodi Administrasi Pendidikan berkontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang profesional, serta menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak.
Kompetensi utama lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain Adapun capaian pembelajaran dalam program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain dosen yang ahli pada bidangnya. Program studi administrasi pendidikan juga memiliki sarana dan prasarana. Salah satunya adalah Laboratorium Teknologi Administrasi Pendidikan. Tidak hanya fasilitas yang mumpuni, program studi ini juga memiliki kegiatan akademik yang positif. Di antaranya adalah pengadaan lomba paper dan poster Kaprodikap 2019 yang diselenggarakan untuk mahasiswa aktif program studi administrasi pendidikan. The 3-in-1 program yang terdiri dari program Visiting Professor dan Focus Group Discussion dan Seminar Nasional Administrasi Pendidikan bersama Bapak Menteri Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Republik Indonesia. Prestasi-prestasi yang pernah diraih mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan antara lain 1. Wahidah Nur Anifah dan Zahria Latifatul Hanim memperoleh Bronze Award dalam International Invention and Innovative Competition INLIC 2018 di Malaysia. 2. Zahria Latifatul Hanim juga memperoleh Silver Award dalam International Student Affair Invention, Innovation, and Design Competition pada 26 Maret 2019 di University Teknologi Maro, Kedah, Malaysia. 3. Kurniawan Dwi Prasetyo dan Imron Firdaus mendapatkan posisi juara 2 futsal putra dalam Liga Visip Universitas Indonesia pada tanggal 2 sampai dengan 7 April 2019 di Jakarta Timur. Imron Firdaus juga mendapatkan posisi juara 1 IST 2018 yang diadakan di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. 4. Oktania Berianinda memperoleh penghargaan First Place Chamber Choir kategori, Second Place Mixed Choir kategori, serta Best Performance of Romuald Swarovski Composition dalam International Warsaw Choir Festival pada tahun 2018 di Polandia. 5. Oktitania Berlianinda juga mendapatkan posisi juara 2 lomba basket dalam acara Faculty Basketball League 2019 pada tanggal 20 April 2019 di Universitas Brawijaya. 6. Christina Puji Setiawan mendapatkan posisi juara 3 LKTIN Call for Paper Attraction 2018, juara 2 LKTIN Bursa Business Competition 2018, silver medal dalam acara Young Scientist International and Expo 2019, serta juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019, yang semuanya diselenggarakan di Universitas Brawijaya. 7. Lilis Simamora memperoleh penghargaan First Place and Gold Medal for Miss Choir kategori, Second Place and Medal for Folklore kategori, serta Grand Prix Finalist dalam acara Singapore International Choir Festival 2019. 8. Lukman Hakim, Diana Elsa, dan Satria Ilham mendapatkan posisi juara 1 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019. 9. Lolita Fadia Umah, Risma Utami, dan Lailatun Nur Ula mendapatkan juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019. 10. Rahmawati Prabawaning Tias, Bilkis Widya Jatiningrum, dan Amalia Nur Faidah mendapatkan juara 3 gagasan tertulis Kaprodi Cup 2019. 11. Dea Monica, Elin Dian, dan Adena Chaniwang mendapatkan juara 1 poster Kaprodi Cup 2019. Dengan tenaga pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya, sarana prasarana yang mumpuni, serta kegiatan akademik yang sangat positif, maka mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan via UB siap bersaing bersama lulusan-lulusan lainnya di masa yang akan datang. Selamat berkarya dengan menghasilkan program administrasi pendidikan. Salam satu pendidikan. Selamat datang di program studi Administrasi Pendidikan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan merupakan salah satu program studi di bawah jurusan Administrasi Publik Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan berdiri dengan adanya SK penyelenggara pada tanggal 17 Oktober 2014. Program studi ini berada di bawah naungan Keilmuan Administrasi Publik, sehingga program studi Administrasi Pendidikan ini berbeda dengan program studi Administrasi Pendidikan yang lain, karena core kompetensinya adalah ilmu administrasi publik. Profil lulusan program studi Administrasi Pendidikan adalah sebagai pengelola lembaga pendidikan yang profesional, berbudaya, dan berwawasan global. Visi program studi Administrasi Pendidikan adalah menjadikan program studi Administrasi Pendidikan sebagai institusi ilmiah yang mampu menghasilkan ahli administrasi pendidikan yang profesional dan bertanggung jawab terhadap pengembangan ilmu. Adapun beberapa misi program studi Administrasi Pendidikan diantaranya adalah 1. Mewadahi dinamika internal sivitas akademika di lingkungan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi, terutama yang berminat pada ilmu administrasi pendidikan. 2. Turut memberi kontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang mempunyai keterampilan profesional dan pengabdian prima terhadap nusa dan bangsa. 3. Menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak, baik lembaga pemerintah pusat maupun pemerintah daerah, serta lembaga pendidikan kedinasan, guna meningkatkan peranan yang strategis dari Dharma perguruan tinggi.
Dalam hal ini, Prodi Administrasi Pendidikan berkontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu Center of Excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang profesional, serta menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak.
Kompetensi utama lulusan program studi Administrasi Pendidikan antara lain: Adapun capaian pembelajaran dalam program studi pendidikan antara lain program studi administrasi pendidikan diampu oleh dosen-dosen yang mumpuni di bidangnya. Tidak hanya dosen yang ahli pada bidangnya, program studi administrasi pendidikan juga memiliki sarana dan prasarana. Salah satunya adalah Laboratorium Teknologi Administrasi Pendidikan. Tidak hanya fasilitas yang mumpuni, program studi ini juga memiliki kegiatan akademik yang positif. Di antaranya adalah pengadaan lomba paper dan poster Kaprodikap 2019 yang diselenggarakan untuk mahasiswa aktif program studi administrasi pendidikan. The 3-in-1 program yang terdiri dari program Visiting Professor dan Focus Group Discussion dan Seminar Nasional Administrasi Pendidikan bersama Bapak Menteri Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Republik Indonesia. Prestasi-prestasi yang pernah diraih mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan antara lain 1. Wahidah Nur Anifah dan Zahria Latifatul Hanim memperoleh Bronze Award dalam International Invention and Innovative Competition INLIC 2018 di Malaysia. 2. Zahria Latifatul Hanim juga memperoleh Silver Reward dalam International Student Affair Invention, Innovation, and Design Competition pada 26 Maret 2019 di University Teknologi Maro, Kedah, Malaysia. 3. Kurniawan Dwi Prasetyo dan Imron Firdaus mendapatkan posisi juara 2 futsal putra dalam Liga Visip Universitas Indonesia pada tanggal 2 sampai dengan 7 April 2019 di Jakarta Timur. Imron Firdaus juga mendapatkan posisi juara 1 ISD 2018 yang diadakan di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. 4. Oktitania Berlianinda memperoleh penghargaan First Place Chamber Choir kategori, Second Place Mixed Choir kategori, serta Best Performance of Romuald Swarovski Composition dalam International Warsaw Choir Festival pada tahun 2018 di Polandia. 5. Oktitania Berlianinda juga mendapatkan posisi juara 2 lomba basket dalam acara Fakulty Basketball League 2019 pada tanggal 20 April 2019 di Universitas Brawijaya. 6. Christina Puji Setiawan mendapatkan posisi juara 3 LKTIN Call for Paper Attraction 2018, juara 2 LKTIN Bursa Business Competition 2018, silver medal dalam acara Young Scientist International and Expo 2019, serta juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019, yang semuanya diselenggarakan di Universitas Brawijaya. 7. Lilis Simamora memperoleh penghargaan First Place and Gold Medal for Miss Choir kategori, Second Place and Medal for Folklore kategori, serta Grand Prix Finalist dalam acara Singapore International Choir Festival 2019. 8. Lukman Hakim, Diana Elsa, dan Satria Ilham mendapatkan posisi juara 1 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 9. Walita Fadia Umah, Risma Utami, dan Lailatul Nurullah mendapatkan juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 10. Rahmawati Prabawaning Tias, Belkis Widya Jatiningrum, dan Amalia Nur Faidah mendapatkan juara 3 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 11. Dia Monica, Elin Dian, dan Adena Chaniwang mendapatkan juara 1 poster Kaprodikap 2019. Dengan tenaga pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya, sarana prasarana yang mumpuni, serta kegiatan akademik yang sangat positif, maka mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan via UB siap bersaing bersama lulusan-lulusan lainnya di masa yang akan datang. Selamat berkarya dengan program administrasi pendidikan. Salam. Satu, pendidikan. Selamat datang di program studi Administrasi Pendidikan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan merupakan salah satu program studi di bawah jurusan Administrasi Publik Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. Program studi Administrasi Pendidikan berdiri dengan adanya SK penyelenggara pada tanggal 17 Oktober 2014. Program studi ini berada di bawah naungan keilmuan administrasi publik, sehingga program studi administrasi pendidikan ini berbeda dengan program studi administrasi pendidikan yang lain, karena core kompetensinya adalah administrasi publik. Profil lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah sebagai pengelola lembaga pendidikan yang profesional, berbudaya, dan berwawasan global. Visi program studi administrasi pendidikan adalah menjadikan program studi administrasi pendidikan sebagai institusi ilmiah yang mampu menghasilkan ahli administrasi pendidikan yang profesional dan bertanggung jawab terhadap pengembangan ilmu. Ada pun beberapa misi program studi administrasi pendidikan yang diantaranya adalah 1. Mewadahi dinamika internal sivitas akademika di lingkungan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi, terutama yang berminat pada ilmu administrasi pendidikan. 2. Turut memberi kontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu center of excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang mempunyai keterampilan profesional dan pengabdian prima terhadap nusa dan bangsa. 3. Menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak, baik lembaga pemerintah pusat maupun pemerintah daerah, serta lembaga pendidikan kedinasan, guna meningkatkan peranan yang strategis dari Dharma perguruan tinggi.
Dalam hal ini, di administrasi pendidikan berkontribusi bagi upaya Universitas Brawijaya untuk menjadi salah satu center of excellence dalam pengadaan tenaga akademis yang profesional serta menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai pihak.
Kompetensi utama lulusan program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain Adapun capaian pembelajaran dalam program studi administrasi pendidikan antara lain Program studi administrasi pendidikan juga memiliki sarana dan prasarana. Salah satunya adalah Laboratorium Teknologi Administrasi Pendidikan. Tidak hanya fasilitas yang mumpuni, program studi ini juga memiliki kegiatan akademik yang positif. Di antaranya adalah pengadaan lomba paper dan poster Kaprodikap 2019 yang diselenggarakan untuk mahasiswa aktif program studi administrasi pendidikan. The 3-in-1 program yang terdiri dari program Visiting Professor dan Focus Group Discussion dan Seminar Nasional Administrasi Pendidikan bersama Bapak Menteri Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Republik Indonesia. Prestasi-prestasi yang pernah diraih mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan antara lain 1. Wahidah Nur Anifah dan Zahria Latifatul Hanim memperoleh Bronze Award dalam International Invention and Innovative Competition INLIC 2018 di Malaysia. 2. Zahria Latifatul Hanim juga memperoleh Silver Reward dalam International Student Affair Invention, Innovation, and Design Competition pada 26 Maret 2019 di University Teknologi Maro, Kedah, Malaysia. 3. Kurniawan Dwi Prasetyo dan Imron Firdaus mendapatkan posisi juara 2 futsal putra dalam Liga Visip Universitas Indonesia pada tanggal 2 sampai dengan 7 April 2019 di Jakarta Timur. Imron Firdaus juga mendapatkan posisi juara 1 IST 2018 yang diadakan di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. 4. Oktitania Berlianinda memperoleh penghargaan First Place Chamber Choir kategori, Second Place Mixed Choir kategori, serta Best Performance of Romuald Swarovski Composition dalam International Warsaw Choir Festival pada tahun 2018 di Polandia. 5. Oktitania Berlianinda juga mendapatkan posisi juara 2 lomba basket dalam acara Fakulti Basketball League 2019 pada tanggal 20 April 2019 di Universitas Brawijaya. 6. Kristina Puji Setiawan mendapatkan posisi juara 3 LKTIN Call for Paper Attraction 2018, juara 2 LKTIN Bursa Business Competition 2018, silver medal dalam acara Young Scientist International and Expo 2019, serta juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019, yang semuanya diselenggarakan di Universitas Brawijaya. 7. Lilis Simamora memperoleh penghargaan First Place and Gold Medal for Miss Choir kategori, Second Place and Medal for Folklore kategori, serta Grand Prix Finalist dalam acara Singapore International Choir Festival 2019. 8. Lukman Hakim, Diana Elsa, dan Satria Ilham mendapatkan posisi juara 1 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 9. Walita Fadia Umah, Risma Utami, dan Lailatul Nur Ula mendapatkan juara 2 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 10. Rahmawati Prabawaning Tias, Belkis Widya Jatiningrum, dan Amalia Nur Faida mendapatkan juara 3 gagasan tertulis Kaprodikap 2019. 11. Dea Monica, Elin Dian, dan Adena Chaniwang mendapatkan juara 1 poster Kaprodikap 2019. Dengan tenaga pengajar yang ahli di bidangnya, sarana prasarana yang mumpuni, serta kegiatan akademik yang sangat positif, maka mahasiswa administrasi pendidikan via UB siap bersaing bersama lulusan-lulusan lainnya di masa yang akan datang. Selamat berkarya dengan mahasiswa program administrasi pendidikan. Salam satu pendidikan.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we join again in the continuation of our 3-in-1 program from Educational Administration Program of Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya. Selamat datang kembali teman-teman mahasiswa dan mungkin ada Bapak Ibu dosen, Bapak Ibu sekalian yang saya hormati. Terima kasih telah bergabung kembali di agenda lanjutan dari 3-in-1 program yang diselenggarakan oleh Program Studi Administrasi Pendidikan Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya. And today we have come to our for the 4th day of the program, and the topic for today is writing clinics that will be brought by our guest lecturer, Dr. Matthew R. Ferguson. So, Bapak Ibu sekalian, ladies and gentlemen, we choose this topic for today because as academicians, writing is one of important skills that we have to master. And the outputs of our works in the campus is in the form of writings. Let's say for S1 student, untuk mahasiswa S1, the outputs, luaran dari kuliahnya, ya, at the end of your study, you have to write a thesis atau skripsi, kalau bahasa Indonesia. And also along during your study, you will also find assignments from your lectures in the form of writing, whether it's short papers or article, journal article, and some other forms of writing. And so writing is very important for us to master. And I always say to my students that what differs us academicians in the campus from people outside the campus is in the form of writing capabilities, because people outside usually do not have high competence in writing or high capability in writing, but we as academicians should be able to put our ideas and thoughts in the form of writings. Yeah, and writing is from language perspective, writing is considered as the most difficult language skill that we human being masters. Jadi writing atau menulis itu adalah skill bahasa yang paling sulit katanya. Ya, because since we were born, ya, sejak kita lahir, sejak kita bayi, skill bahasa, language skill, the first language skill that we learn, we master is listening. Ya, tentu mungkin teman-teman masih ingat ketika masih bayi, ya, atau tidak ingat sama sekali karena masih terlalu kecil. Skill pertama yang Anda kuasai adalah mendengar atau listening. Ya, jadi Anda belum bisa bicara, tapi Anda sudah bisa mendengar apa yang disampaikan oleh orang tua Anda, gitu kan? Bapak Ibu bicara, Anda mendengar, ya, tapi belum bisa merespon lewat bicara atau speaking. Yang itu nanti akan menjadi the next language skill that we master after listening, that is speaking. We started to learn how to spell A, B, C, D, E, ya, spelling ba, and so on, ya. Jadi mulai belajar bicara pelan-pelan sampai nanti you go to schools, ya, and then you start learning reading, membaca, ya kan, membaca huruf pelan-pelan, hurufnya besar-besar, ya kan, disuruh titik-titik, disuruh menghubungkan dan begitu dan seterusnya sampai bisa membaca. Barulah pelan-pelan belajar menulis, ya kan. So writing is the last language skill that you learn from schools, and also it is considered as the most difficult language skill that we experience. Ya, jadi makanya kami memilih topik writing untuk hari ini supaya teman-teman, Bapak Ibu sekalian itu memiliki kecakapan writing yang memadai, karena ke depan kita, termasuk saya sebagai academician, kita akan banyak bergelut dengan writing. We will deal a lot with writings, ya. Dan seorang akademisi itu memang sudah seharusnya bisa menulis, tidak hanya bisa bicara saja, kira-kira begitu, ya. Mahasiswa, ya, kalau dulu sebelum ada corona mungkin suka menyampaikan aspirasi lewat bicara, lewat speaking, turun ke jalan, ya kan, bawa megafon, turun ke jalan, ke depan balai kota, ke depan DPR dan sebagainya. Tapi kalau pandemi kan nggak boleh, ya. Maka satu-satunya cara untuk melampiaskan, menyampaikan aspirasi adalah melalui tulisan. Ya, so you can start writing your opinions, your thoughts about this nation, about education, about everything through writings, and then you publish your writings in the mass media, di media massa. Ya, saya kira di sini telah hadir ya, karena ini boxnya ada di atas saya persis, Ibu Pranatalia. Ya, ini sahabat lama saya. Bu Lia ini dulu adalah Humas Universitas Brawijaya yang banyak berhubungan dengan media massa ya. Jadi nanti teman-teman bisa kenalan nih sama Bu Pranatalia, ini alumni VIA juga ya. Saat ini sedang studi juga di VIA yang ambil MAB ya, Bu. Nanti bisa kenalan sama Bu Pranatalia, Bu. Saya punya tulisan, saya ingin diterbitkan di media massa. Bagaimana caranya? Nah, mungkin meskipun Bu Lia sudah nggak tugas di situ, tapi pasti jaringannya masih kuat ya. Okay, so today. This is our third session with Dr. Matthew R. Ferguson. Yeah, if you haven't met us previously, Dr. Ferguson is a lecturer and also a director in Mahidol University International College, and he earned his education. His Bachelor of Arts in English from University of Western Ontario, Canada. And he earned his Master of Arts in Education, yeah, back in May 2005 from University of Victoria, also in Canada. And he recently pursued his doctoral degree in education in 2019 from Northeastern University, Boston, USA. So today we are going to have a very great time with Dr. Ferguson, and he will explain to you and teach you how to write better rather than before. Okay, Matthew, are you here? Are you there? Are you here?
I am here.
Okay, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Thank you, Mr. Lukman, and thank you everyone again for having me. It's nice. I'm looking at the faces on the screen, and I recognize some of the faces from previous sessions. So welcome back, and welcome to any of the new faces who are here today. I would like to follow up on what Mr. Lukman said.
All right.
And again, if any of the participants in the room are brave enough to open their mics at any time to respond or to give your own comments or to post in the chat box is fine, but it would be wonderful to hear your voices at times. And I would like to just ask the audience, hopefully some students can help me, is as Mr. Lukman said, and I think correctly, writing is the highest valued skill in the academic world. It is the way that we spread information to the world. And today we have so many different ways to communicate, but we still hold writing up as the highest form of communication. And like your teacher said, you will have to write essays and papers and a thesis at some point. And I wonder why, if any of the participants can help me, is why do you think writing is held up as the highest skill and moreover the highest form of intellectual communication? Can anyone help me with that? What's your feeling as university students, and maybe even if there's faculty in the room, why do we hold up writing as the highest form of communication, especially today since we have so many other ways to communicate knowledge to the world?
Okay, teman-teman, guys, you can open your mic, yeah, and say something from the question of Dr. Ferguson. Jadi, menurut kamu apa yang membuat writing skill itu skill yang paling tertinggi atau paling dihargai di dunia akademik? Ya, silakan. Ayo, Dr. Ferguson would like to hear your voice, ya, rather than just read your chats. Anyone? Silakan. Nggak apa-apa. You can use bahasa Indonesia. I will try to translate my best. Silakan, ada teman-teman? Ya, oke. menurut kamu kenapa writing skill itu dianggap menjadi skill yang paling dihargai? Atau begini aja deh, let's say apa pendapat kamu ya? What's your opinion about writing skills? Silakan. Apa pendapatmu tentang kemampuan writing atau skill writing ini? Ada yang punya pendapat? Silakan. Hello.
Well, here, let me ask a very, very simple question to the room.
Okay.
If you like writing, could you do this with your head? If you don't like writing, would you do this with your head?
Yeah, kalau
Let
suka
me just get
Kalau
a
suka
poll. If
writing,
you
aku
like
ya,
writing, if you like writing, nod your head. If you don't, shake your head like this.
Oke.
Okay, it's hard to really get a sense of the room.
Hello.
But anyway, here, let me try something here. Well, why do I love writing? Okay, and I'll tell you why I love writing. And especially as an academic, as a student, as a teacher, there's reasons I love writing. And what does writing do that is different from other kinds of communication? Someone might ask me, what is, Matthew, what is your opinion about something? Right? There's a comment in the chat box. Maybe the host needs to allow people to unmute their mics. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let me talk with the committee. Can you open the block of the mic?
Okay.
Is it okay now? Can they speak? Okay. Yeah, it's open now. Anyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Ya, silakan Bu Lia.
Can I speak or Mr. Matthew will continue?
Please speak. Please speak
Yeah,
if you have something to say.
Okay. Hello. Good evening. Good afternoon. My name is Alia. The reason why writing is the most highest, what's it called? Has the highest number in academic because it should be identical, which means it's about how to express your mind and your opinion in writing.
Yeah.
So it has to be identical. It depends on you actually, and then you need you have to what's it called to show that the evidence. So the evidence so that people cannot what's it called copy paste or
right.
or what's it called trying the what's it the genin so people cannot what's it called copy paste or something
Copy and paste.
that
Yeah.
the individual in writing the academic matter. Maybe that's one of the reason why the writing is the highest skill in academic.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Bu
Thank you
Lia.
for sharing that. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah. From student, Imran? Imran, you would like to say something? Imran Firdaus? Ya, silakan Imran. Mau pakai?
Iya Pak, bahasa Indonesia aja.
Oke.
Oke. Jadi terlebihnya kan tadi udah disampaikan sama Pak Aulia kalau seperti kita nggak punya peluang untuk menyampaikan suara, kita bisa sampai tulis biar apa yang kita pikirkan, apa yang kita ingin sampaikan itu bisa sampai kepada tujuan yang tepat. Selain itu, menurut saya menulis itu kan sangat sulit tentunya Pak, karena mungkin tulisan saya dengan tulisan Pak Aulia pastinya berbeda dan pasti akan memiliki maksud yang dapat diterima juga sangat beda gitu. Jadi semisal kita mau menceritakan sejarah, kita punya cerita, kita nggak mungkin hanya sebatas lisan. Jadi menulis itu penting juga buat kita salah satunya mencatatkan sejarah supaya kita bisa benar-benar mengingat dan dapat membagikan cerita kita melewati tulisan itu, Pak. Jadi tulisan itu yang tadi disampaikan sangat penting dan keterampilan yang sangat sulit juga. Gitu. Terima kasih.
Oh, sorry, just unmute. I forgot to unmute the mic. Okay, so according to Imran, writing can be the best tool to speak out our ideas, and thoughts. And then he thinks writing is difficult because everyone has different styles in writing. So it's quite difficult to make other people understand what we write because of this difference. And that can lead to a different understanding, of course. And then the third point is that through writing we can document or we can write histories, so that the history that we write can be read or enjoyed by the people in the future, from the future. That's what he said.
Yes, thank you for both of those comments. And that is right, is when I'm speaking to people, my words come out of my mouth and then they float into the air and then they're gone, right? Whereas words are more permanent. And I think, on one hand, Imran is saying that we all have different styles, we all have different ways that we write, and this is true. But then I believe it was Alia who also said that in academic writing, we need some kind of standard. Yes, we need some kind of standard that we're all following. And so how do we do this at the same time? How do we have our uniqueness as writers, right? How do we have our uniqueness as writers, but then also follow a standard that can be accepted for publication, and in the academic world? And this is part of what I want to accomplish today with you. Okay, I believe Mr. Lukman and others are going to help translate a little bit about what I'm presenting to you today. So please, if there's anything that's not clear, please do put it into the chat box. We'll do our best to help you.
Yes, my friend Taufik is translating what you're saying in the chat box. Oke, jadi teman-teman sambil bisa menyimak chat box, ya, itu ada Pak Taufik Akbar dan juga menerjemahkan apa yang disampaikan oleh Dr. Ferguson, ya. Nanti kalau ada pertanyaan nanti bisa disampaikan. Oke, move on.
So what I'd like to do, first of all, I'm going to put a text up on the screen here. It is in English. I'm going to put a text up on the screen, and I want you to take a moment to read it. And after, I'd like you to tell me if you trust the text or not, okay? If you read it online, on social media, anywhere, would you trust this text or not? So take a moment. It's just a few paragraphs here. Could you read this and then tell me what you think about it? I'll give you 2 minutes. When you finish reading, maybe you can just give me a little signal like this if you finish reading. Please let me know. Thank you. Erica, I see you. Thank you. Virginia, thank you. I see you. Okay. Novrilda, I see you. Thank you. Just a few more seconds, please. Okay, so I'm not expecting anyone in this room to know anything about the education system in Thailand at all. But if you were online, if you're on social media and you saw this article and you read it, what would your reaction be? Meaning, would you trust it? Would you, what would your feelings about it be? How much would you trust it? Can anyone help me? What would you say? Please feel free to open your mic or to put something in the chat box. Do you feel confident about this text? What is your level of confidence? High, medium, low? Why not? Can anyone help me?
Ya, jadi setelah Anda membaca teks ini, apakah bagaimana kepercayaan Anda terhadap teks ini? Apakah tinggi, sedang-sedang saja, atau rendah, atau tidak percaya dengan apa yang ditulis oleh orang ini? Silakan, ada yang mau berpendapat langsung?
I don't believe it. Well,
Okay.
no, because it said that it's not verified by CNN.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you've noticed that point that CNN has been very careful to tell us that it has not been verified. Okay. So that lowers your confidence in this text. I think that's a good start.
Oke, ada lagi? Julia tidak percaya because she saw the text not verified since the very beginning.
Yes, of course, because it said,
text, right?
I think it's a personal argument, you know. We have no idea. We wondering, is it right? Gitu, because it's not, what's it called? It's like a personal opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So it's very personal, right? And so we're seeing that this is, you know, we see that this is really just one person's experience. What would you like, if I can ask you again, Miss Alia, what would make you feel more confident about this? What would increase the reliability of this text for you? What could we do to make it better? I see one comment in the chat box saying that they do believe it because it has been written by the lecturer. So we do see that this person is working in the field. And so usually we would say to the academic lecturers, people like me, hopefully you can trust what we tell you. Okay, fine. Keep going, keep going. There's more that we can say about this text. Okay. I see another comment here in the chat box. I don't believe it. Okay, so that's fine. If you don't or do believe it, I just want to know more why. What, as a reader of this text, what affects your confidence? So we say many reasons. Give me an example. Give me an example of what would be a reason you don't trust it. Anyone can help me here. It's personal, we've said. It's not verified by CNN, we've said. Okay, so these are two reasons to be careful about this text. However, we do have it written by someone, a teacher or a lecturer in the field, so that should give us some level of confidence. Okay, I say, is it Dia, Monica there? I don't believe it because it's one person's view. There's no sample to prove it. I doubt about it because the writers don't give some proof. So we want proof, we want evidence. Yes, maybe you want some statistics, maybe you want some research, you want some citation to show that this isn't just an opinion, but it is a wider issue. Yeah. These are great comments. Novrilda says, I don't believe it because it's too over. Can you tell me, Novrilda, what do you mean by over?
Novrilda, mungkin bisa open mic-nya, nggak apa-apa. Nanti saya bantu terjemahkan, Novrilda.
Baik, Pak. Jadi maksud ini too over. I mean in the third paragraph, I thought in the paragraph problems that exist in government schools. Even here in truth, the school falls under Ministry of Education. I don't know how to read, which is one of the most very costly in the world. Rules change every semester. New guidelines are handed down to teachers and other students. And it is, I feel, then change again the following semester. I feel that there is what is it? It's like pembogosan kata.
Okay. Too many words. Many words.
Yeah. So thank you, Novrilda. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. So from what I could hear, I think maybe your fan might be blowing in your microphone a little bit. So it's a little bit hard to hear. But I heard you mention these words, right? Ridiculously inept every semester. There is a very over generalization. Yes, this is what we call overgeneralization here. My goodness, there must be some good schools out there, right? There must be something good that's happening. How can you use such strong, exaggerated language here? I think it is a wonderful example. I think there's a raised hand from Belinda. Do you have something to say?
Belinda. Belinda.
I see another comment in the chat box saying, well, maybe I believe it because surely she has done some research before. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, is that there has been some research on this, but the writer has not presented that to us. Okay, so that's a fair comment. Maybe this is true, right? Maybe this is absolutely true. However, we need the evidence, right? We need the evidence to feel more confident about it. Another person, Mohammed, saying, I don't believe that news because I don't know where she's actually teaching. So we want to know more specifics. We want to know, according to, is it T. Wahyu? I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. We want to know more about the writer's background. Who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah. Okay, I think this is a really nice start. So even though this is by CNN, or it's published by CNN, I think a lot of us are familiar with CNN. It's a world famous international media organization. When I hear news from CNN, I usually trust it. It doesn't mean CNN has never been wrong before. Of course, they have been wrong before. However, usually I feel confident about the news I get from CNN. But as Ms. Alia has also said, wait a second though, this has not been verified by CNN. They have been very careful to tell us that they have not checked this information. Yes, this is something that CNN has on their website called an iReport, meaning people from around the world can sort of post their stories through the CNN website. It's kind of like a blog, actually, yeah? And so CNN is being very careful to tell us that this is not verified by CNN, this is not a CNN writer, so be careful. You've noted how personal this sounds. It sounds like one person's story, one person's experience. We're not saying that person's experience is wrong, yeah? However, can we take one person's experience and make a big claim like the education system in Thailand is a terrible failure? Many of you saying, no, you cannot say that. Maybe your school was bad. I'm sure your experience was bad, but we can't say generally that the education system is a failure based on your experience. And Navrilda also pointed to the very strong language throughout this, right? We might say over language, right? The very exaggerated, even angry language, right? Yeah. So these are all wonderful comments. Well, let me ask that last question about the tone of this. If you know, can you hear in your ears when you read this, what is the emotion, what is the tone of this text? What is the feeling that you get from it? If you could hear this person, what would they sound like? Can anyone try? What do you hear in your mind? Disappointment, are you saying? Yes? Okay. Do you think it sounds, I think you're right, it's disappointed, but it sounds a little bit stronger than that. What would be a stronger word than being disappointed? Navrilda saying a little bit annoyed, angry. I think that's right. I think this sounds like an angry writer. Yeah, I agree, right? So for all of these reasons, and you've done a really nice job, for all of these reasons, I don't think I would trust this source. I would not cite this source in my essay. I would not cite this source in my work. For many reasons, I can't trust it. Yeah, for many reasons, I can't trust it. And I want to get into those reasons with you. Okay. I also, quickly, I want to say something that I forgot to say before, is this. Why is writing important? There's many reasons, but these are my reasons. Is that if someone asks me, Matthew, what's your opinion about something? Often my answer is, you know what? I don't know what my opinion is because I haven't written about it yet, right? I often don't know what I think until I write it down. And two things happen. One thing can be this: I will start writing an essay or an article, and then I stop, and then I read it, and I look at it, and I say, "Oh, that's what I mean. That's what I think." Right? Once I see it. Or another thing can happen too. I write something, and then I look at it, and I say, "Oh my goodness, I have no idea what I'm talking about." Right? And that's what writing does for us. I don't think about writing as a language skill, actually. Yeah, I think about writing as a thinking skill. Right? Writing forces us to think clearly and rationally and logically, more than any other form of communication. And so if I'm trying to develop my ideas about any topic, any idea, any question, I have to write about it, and that will help to clarify what I'm trying to say, right? Because if you don't write in a rational, logical, clear way, no one will understand you. And moreover, it's the best evidence to show that you don't know what you're talking about, right? Right. And so writing is very tricky in that way, very, very tricky. Okay, let me sort of skip back to what we were talking about. So I think, again, you've done a really nice job, and I think you've pointed out to many things here. The language, how bad the education system really is. And this goes to Navrilda's point of being over. Inadequate funding, huge class sizes, terrible teachers, lazy students. Yes, forces teachers to pass students. There doesn't seem to be much hope. It's hopeless. Yes, what else do we see? Ridiculously inept, right? Blind eye turn to serious problems. So we can see the strong, exaggerated language, the emotional language here, personal language, no evidence, no support. And for those many reasons, we need to be careful. What else can we say? It's coming from CNN. I usually trust CNN, yes, as a news source, yes, but it's an I report, meaning this was not published or written by a CNN journalist. They are very careful to tell us that this was not verified by CNN. The writer, Cassandra James, who the heck are you? Right? We don't have any information about her really. A lot of you said, I want to know her background. We don't know, yes? And the language is very strong. Here, I want to ask another question, and it may be a slightly sensitive question, is about the writer. This name, Cassandra James, we see that this person is American or British. If it were a Thai name, would that change your opinion about this? Would the credibility go up if this was written by a Thai person? Does it change your opinion? Does it change your feeling about the text if the name was a Thai name? I know that this can be a kind of a tricky question. What do you think? Does it change your feeling? Or if this was not Thailand, if we were talking about Indonesia, right? If we were talking about Indonesia and it was written by me, right? Would the name affect your opinion or affect your perception of the text?
Yeah, Imron, you wanna say something? Yeah, Imron, silakan. Imran, you can open your mic. Nggak jadi.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
If
okay, right.
Yeah. So yeah, no, this is always a very, very tricky question, right? And I certainly faced it myself as an academic living in Thailand, writing about Thailand. So this often becomes a tricky question because people's emotions get involved when we're talking about other people's countries. But when we're talking about writing in the academic literature, in the international journals, again, we try to give voice to everybody. And often people from other countries can give sort of new perspectives on our own experiences at home, but they probably have to work a bit harder to have more evidence, right? And to be very, very careful about how they present the work. This one, I would argue, Cassandra James here probably didn't do a very good job of really building up her case. So let's keep going. So when we talk about quality of sources, this is something that all university students should be clearly aware of, is understanding what is the reputation of the source, right? Can you trust the source? Has the source lied to you before or not, right? What is that reputation? Do they have a high reputation or not? What is the purpose of the publishing organization, right? Or individual? Are they right? Why are they writing this? Right? Why do any of us write? Maybe you write because your teacher told you to. Maybe you write because someone is paying you to. Or maybe you write just because you are motivated to write, right? What is the purpose of the publishing organization or individual? And then the credibility of them, right? What status do they have? We should always be asking ourselves these questions. And the last one is, what about the voice? And this is actually what I want to talk about today. When I ask you, what is the voice that you hear in your ears? Obviously, right now, you hear my voice. I am talking to you. You hear the sound of my voice. You are asking yourself, okay, does he express himself clearly? Does he express himself confidently? Does he know what he's talking about? And if the answer to all of those is yes, then my credibility goes up and your confidence in me goes up. But when we write, we also have a voice, right? There's a little sound in your ears when you're reading something and you ask yourself, when I'm reading this, do they express themselves clearly and confidently and accurately? And then your confidence goes up. And so your job as students and as writers is to develop your own writerly voice. So in the future, when an article comes to me from you, yes, as you grow up and become professional writers, I will know immediately when I read this, I know this writer. I don't even need to know the name because I know the voice of this text. It's not an easy thing to develop. It's a very, very hard thing to develop, the writerly voice. So again, when we look at this text, what is the voice? You've said it already. It's an angry voice. It's an emotional voice. And listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with emotions. Sometimes we need to be emotional, right? Sometimes, depending on what we're talking about, right? But the emotion won't work if it doesn't do those other things you said, right? If it doesn't give me the evidence, if it doesn't tell me who the writer is, right? Why are you so upset about this, right? Why are you writing this? So this is a part of what we talk about, biased writing, right? And so you've noted it, the exaggerated, the extreme language, the superlative language. When I say superlative, we're saying things like the most or the least, the worst or the best. Anytime we see those kinds of words, we should be careful. Yeah, so we see it here, again, that exaggerated, emotional, superlative language. So these, again, are things that pop up in my head when I'm reading and say, oh, I'm not sure I can trust this. Okay, So terrible, she says, lazy students, ridiculously inept, no hope. Rules change every semester. To Navrilda's point, this was overgeneralizing. This is over. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So developing the writerly voice. I hope you can bear with me because I'm sort of jumping around between a couple of topics, but by the end of this session, I hope everything comes together. I want to introduce you to something called Peel paragraphing. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with what I mean by Peel. But this is this is a way that I write and have been taught to write, and it's a strategy that I've used for a long time. You can go online, you can learn more about it as well. When we talk about Peel, this is what it stands for. And this is talking about paragraphing. Is we start with our point. So often you might talk about a sort of topic sentence in a paragraph. After that, you often need to explain. We need a sentence to clarify what we are saying. In other words, some kind of sentence like that. From there, we elaborate, which means we have to then develop and develop and develop with examples, illustrations, research, other kinds of things to elaborate on the point. And then, and then we have a link, right? The link is a very important sentence. Often you call it the conclusion sentence of a paragraph. And this is designed to link the whole paragraph together, okay? And it usually has a word like this or these or that, some word that refers back to the rest of the paragraph. So here's an example. This is from something I've written, highly academic, and I'm not asking you to understand it, but I just want to hold it up as an example. So this looks like a typical paragraph, yeah? So this is from an article I wrote a couple of years back, and it says that, okay, my field is international education. This is what I do most of my research in. And it says here, international education is a concept or practice for which definition has proven elusive. So there's a point. Okay, fine. Sorry, let me just... The difficulty is its meaning differs widely in different cultural contexts. I will explore the different definitions and how they inform the concept of global citizenship and cosmopolitans. Okay. So here's a paragraph. But does it actually say anything? The answer is it doesn't really say anything at all, right? We have three sort of academic sounding sentences here. It looks like a paragraph, but it doesn't actually say anything really. It requires more development. And so this is where the Peel is really, really useful to us. So for example, I start here, international education is a concept or practice for which definition has proven elusive. Proven elusive, meaning it's been hard to define. So why not put an extra sentence in here to explain this a little bit more? And so I will. Yeah. That said, so over the past 3 decades, schools and universities all over the world have been engaged in da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So here is another sentence to explain the point, right? And often has words like this. That said, in other words, moreover, something to explain the point in more detail. But listen, I'm not done. I need to elaborate more on what I mean. So here is the key to being competitive and relevant in a more globalized world. So now I've brought in a new idea of a more globalized world. Let me elaborate on this. Let's add some more in here. The processes of globalization. So you might notice that I'm linking different ideas together, yeah? okay? And I want to elaborate on this point. I'm not giving up. The processes of globalization have resulted in greater integration of the world's market economies, emergence of English as an international language, communications, not only political and social elite levels, but more across class lines. Let's keep going, yes? Moreover, the revolution in internet, telecommunication technologies, and so on. So now I have a very complete paragraph, yeah? A very complete paragraph. Here's the peel. The point is there. An explanation is there. I've got a long elaboration and then a link, right? To link all of the pieces together. And so from, what do I have? From about, from a 3-sentence paragraph of about, I don't know, 50, 60 words. Now I have a fully developed paragraph of roughly 200 words. And this is one of my best pieces of advice to my students, is my students will often come to me and say, teacher, I don't know what to write. I have no more to write. You're asking me to write 2,000 words. I've only written 1,000, right? And I have no more ideas. And I always answer and say, no, 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 you have many ideas. You just need to develop the ones you already have. You don't need to think of much more ideas. You just need to explain and elaborate and develop more. Yeah. So here's another paragraph. Again, highly academic. Yeah, highly academic. But I wonder, all of you should have on your screen, I think you should have an annotate button. I don't know if you see your annotate button on your screen. But if
I'm afraid we don't activate the annotate.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Right.
That's fine, that's fine. But here's another paragraph. Again, I won't ask you to read it because it'll take too much time. But here is another example of a peel paragraph, right? So we start with a pretty short, clear point. We explain, and then we elaborate, and then we link it together, right? And so what you should notice here is these things like IE and global education. So then I need to explain more about what I mean by global education and explain what that means. But I keep going, right? In other words, the concept of globalization is, so I'm elaborating on that point, okay? And I never give up on it. I keep developing and developing and developing. And then we have the link, these fields, right? This is the word that is designed to sort of connect everything together, yeah? Okay, and now I have a fully developed paragraph. So I have actually, Mr. Lukman, I've actually asked for some student volunteers. Do you have some volunteers ready for me?
Yes, I guess so. For the sake of this session, I have appointed 12 students.
Okay.
Hopefully they are here.
All right. So I'm asking for 4 groups with 3 students each. Are you able to assign them into 4 groups?
Yeah, I haven't, but let me just mention. Yeah, 4 groups. Yeah.
Correct.
4 groups. Okay. So Mr. Ferguson asked me to form groups of 4 groups of 3 students. Yeah. We have the first group is for Ian, dia ada Ian ya, Ian, and then Dea and Yolanda. Yeah, Ian, Dea, and Yolanda. You are in the first group, and then in the second group we have Rizka, Jihan, and Lilis. Yeah, that's the second group. And then the third group is Fairuz, Fairuz, Imran, and Zidane. Zidane, not the Real Madrid coach. Yeah, nervous. Zidane. Okay, Fairuz, Imran, and Zidane for the third group. And then the fourth group, the last group is Stefanus, Regina, and Farhan. All right. I hope you heard me. Yeah. So are we going to do next?
Okay, so group one, I would like you, I'm putting it into the chat box now. This isn't for everyone. This is just for group one. That is your link, group one. If you could
All right.
open that link, please. Group
Yeah.
two, I will have a new link here for you. I would like you to open this link. Because we're going to review your work at the end of this session. So while I am presenting here, please feel free to work on this, and we would like to review your work after. So, sorry, I'm just gonna get this done here. Group three, there's your link, and then group four. Okay.
Ya, teman-teman yang grup 1, 2, 3, 4 tadi yang saya sebutkan ya, masing-masing bisa mengklik tombol ini ya. Nanti ada sebuah dokumen yang bisa dikerjakan bersama-sama. Nanti let's wait for Matthew's instruction.
So the links for the groups are there. Now I see people have logged on there. This is for group one. So group one, 3 of you working together. I'm asking you to write a paragraph, okay? I'm asking you to write a paragraph. I have started it for you, okay? So this is your topic sentence. I would like you to complete it by yourself. And then I want you to write the peel. I want you to explain and elaborate and link it. So all I'm asking you as a group of 3 is to create a paragraph. That's all. And I want you to work on it now as I am presenting the rest of the workshop. And by the end of the workshop today, we're going to come back to you and see what you have done. Okay, this is for group 2, group 3, and this is group 4. Yes, so for each of your groups, I would like you to write a paragraph. Maybe not more than 150 words. I think that would be enough. Yes, but I'd like the 3 of you to sort of work together sentence by sentence by sentence and to complete that paragraph.
I guess the group 1 is too many people there.
Yeah, so I only want 3 people there if possible. Group 2
Group 1
has nobody right now.
Hang on.
Group 3's got
group 1 is only for Ian, yeah, Ian, Dea, and Yolanda. Okay, group 1, Ian, Dea, and Yolanda. Ya, sisanya mohon ke grup 2, Rizka, Jihan, and Lilis. Silakan mengklik link untuk grup 2, ya, Rizka, Jihan, and Lilis. Klik link yang grup 2, ya.
Pak Hefri nanya mau dibikin break room kan?
Okay, all right. Okay, ya ini.
Okay.
Grup 2, Rizka, Jihan, and Lilis. Klik link untuk grup 2 yang ada di chat box barusan ini ya. Ya, oke, terima kasih. All right, move along.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to continue to present this workshop today, yes? And then we're going to come back and look at those 3 or 4 paragraphs as examples, okay? So those students who are working on it, thank you very much for helping us with this. And you're going to be examples for us to sort of critique at the end here. Someone sort of take charge and write that first sentence and then develop from there. try and use the peel as best that you can. All right. I hope that's clear, and don't worry about it that you're not being graded on this. This isn't going to affect you in any way. This is just a bit of an example for us to look at together. All right, so work on that, and we're going to come back and see how you're doing in a little while. All right. All right. Sorry. Okay. So what we're looking for as writers is a voice of authority, right? Is a voice that people will trust, right? A voice that people will trust in how we develop this in ourselves. And a text that I love is one by Monica Lee. And I've posted the link here for you. I'm not asking you to read this, but maybe it's just something you might be helpful to you in the future. It's a text that I'm using today, and so I'll just give you the reference there in case you ever want to read it and look at it, because I think it's fantastic. And so let me just have a look at this. What is academic writing? The text here on the screen says, scintillate, scintillate, globule, orific. Fair would I fathom thy nature specific, loftily poised in the ether capacious, strongly resembling a gem carbonaceous. Scintillate, scintillate, globule, orific. Fair would I fathom thy nature specific. What on earth does that mean? Do you want to know the translation? Maybe you're familiar with this children's song. Which one is better? It's the same. It's the same meaning, but which one is better? I hope most of you are saying this one is better. This one is basically unreadable, right? Right? It's unreadable. And many students are taught to get out your thesaurus, yeah, show off your vocabulary and write academically. We would say this looks like academic writing, but it's not the kind of writing that any normal person can understand, yeah? Whereas this is obviously something we sing to our children, right? And so, again, if I can ask the room, what makes academic writing different from other kinds of writing? What do you think? What makes academic writing different from other kinds of writing?
Ya, apa yang membuat academic writing berbeda dengan writing lainnya atau tulisan lainnya? Ada, silakan teman-teman. Bro, mic-nya di open.
Someone here, is it Taufik, saying the language is more formal? Yes, we're generally using more formal language, not casual, emotional language like what we saw earlier. Yes, so the formality goes up. That's a good start. That's a good start. Anything to add to that?
Okay, please. Apalagi yang membuat tulisan akademik berbeda dengan tulisan lainnya, teman-teman? Ya, Nofrilda here.
Butuh penelitian.
Oh, butuh penelitian. Oh, siapa ini yang ngomong? Saya lihat. It needs research, she says.
Okay, needs research. Yeah, that's right. So we need support. We need support for what we write. I see Nofrilda saying uncommon language. Yes. So it's not, well, and this is the thing, right? Uncommon language. We could say here on the left side, this is absolutely uncommon language. These are probably words that many of you have never heard of before. I can tell you, I didn't know these words before. Yes, you will need a dictionary to understand every single word here. Does it make it better? No, right? And this is what a lot of us in the academic world, we are very guilty of this, because we often write with language that no one can read. And what is more useless to the world than writing things that no one can or wants to read? And this is one of my biggest efforts as a writing instructor and writer, is to say that normal, common words can also be academic. Normal, common language can also be intelligent and intellectual and important, yeah? And so don't allow some of these more academic standards get in the way of you expressing your ideas to the world. And yeah, Nadia saying here as well, a lot of standard use when we're writing about academic and use a lot of words that might not understand easily by common people. So I wonder, how useful is it for us to write in a way that cannot be understood by common people? In other words, us academics are only writing for other academics, right? And that, the usefulness of that, I'm not sure how much there is. So another question, and again, for the audience, for those of you as students growing up in school and in university, how many of you, again, if you can sort of put up your hand so I can see you, how many of you have been told by your teachers to not use the word I? When you write, when you do academic writing, you should not use the word I. You should avoid the word I. How many of you have been taught that?
Siapa yang sama gurunya kalau tulisan akademik nggak boleh pakai huruf, nggak boleh kata saya. Silakan angkat tangan, angkat tangan. Nggak boleh pakai kata I atau saya dalam tulisan akademik. Skripsi, thesis, ada?
You should not say things like I think or I believe. Have any of you been taught that growing up?
Yang pernah diajar kayak gitu? Nggak boleh ngomong, nggak boleh nulis kata saya dalam tulisan akademik, paper, skripsi.
Okay.
Ya, tulisan ilmiah, tulisan ilmiah. Okay, yes.
Yeah. Well, frequently, many students around the world, they're told not to say I. Instead, they're taught to say things like, some might say, some might believe, right? One might say, right? Instead of saying I, right? We will find different ways, right, to avoid using the word I. And I wonder why. Why do we avoid using the word I? Right? I wonder what your teachers have taught you. Why is saying something like some, right? Some believe, right? Instead of saying I believe. Right? So we find all these different ways to avoid using the word I. And often the reason, the answer, the reason people say you shouldn't use the word I is because it makes it too personal, right? Because it makes it an opinion, right? Whereas as academic writers, we don't want to be personal. We don't want opinion, yeah? But let me ask you this, is when we talk about the I, if we write in the third person, it sounds authoritative, it sounds unbiased, but it often sounds kind of boring, right? And that's why academic writing and reading is often, let's be clear, kind of boring, right? The first person, when we use the word I, it sounds personal, it sounds biased, but we kind of like it, right? That personal voice, it actually has more energy and it's more interesting, right? So, but both can work. Both can work, right? So, like for example, if I write something like this, sorry, let me stop sharing. If I create, all right, can you see my screen? All
We
right.
see your PowerPoint.
Oh, you see my PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, let me just jump around. If I write something like this, if I say, if I write a sentence like that, does this sentence, does it sound like a fact or like an opinion? Can anyone tell me or post in the chat box? Does this sentence sound like a fact or like an opinion? Is this a fact or an opinion, this sentence? Anyone? What does it sound like?
Ya, gimana menurutmu teman-teman? Kalimat ini fakta atau opini?
Fakta.
Fakta. Okay. Fakta.
Many people would say it sounds like a fact. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
got 4 people says facts, 2 opinions.
Okay. If I write this, is this a fact or an opinion? Oops.
Opinion.
It's an opinion.
This is opinion.
Okay. What's the difference?
Bedanya apa?
What's the difference?
Bedanya apa coba, guys?
There is subject.
The subject, right? The subject is the I, right? The I makes it from, so these two words have suddenly magically changed a fact into an opinion, right? Now, let me ask you another question. Is this a fact?
Fakta? Beneran fakta nggak,
It
guys?
sounds like a fact, but is it a fact?
Beneran fakta nggak?
No, it isn't a fact.
Not exactly.
But it sounds like a fact.
No.
Right? You're exactly right. It sounds like a fact, but it's not a fact. It's an opinion. So you tell me, these two sentences, which one is more honest? Which one is more honest?
Yang mana yang lebih jujur? 2 kalimat ini.
Right? So here's the thing. I would argue that this one is opinion, but it's more honest. Yeah? This one sounds like fact, but is it honest? I'm not sure, right? And this is the very sneaky thing with writing and writers, right? And academic people like myself, is that all we have to do is to change my credibility, to change the sound in your head. I just have to do this. I cut those 2 words, and now suddenly you trust me, right? This has more authority. So cutting out the I sometimes has the effect of being sneaky. And this is what I want to sort of warn us about, is maybe we should not be too shy about using the word I, all right? Now this one, obviously the I is very, very clear here, right? So this is a personal story, and yes, we should be careful about. So when we talk about, I'm just skipping ahead here a little bit, is how do we bring our unique sound, right? For myself from Canada, for you from Indonesia, for people from around the world, how can we bring our unique self, our unique voice into writing? As Alia said at the beginning of our session today, he says, academic writing has a standard. It needs to be identical. All of us in the academic world on the planet, we need to follow the same rules. But on the other hand, how do we find, I forget who the student was who said it at the beginning, how do we have our uniqueness? We have our own styles, our own sense, yes, that we want to express ourselves, right? This is a very difficult thing. And today I can tell you that the academic writing is starting to make a shift. It's not just impersonal, unbiased, objective writing now. We are starting to see students and writers using I more often. This rule is starting to change because readers want it to change, right? Readers want to know who you are. As you said, I want to know, who is Cassandra James? Who is this writer, right? We want to know where you come from and why you believe the things that you believe. Yeah, we want all of this. So according to Monica Lee, she gives us 4 different points here. And it's in the text that I gave you, but what she says here is there are 4 things that gives us a voice of authority. She says, we need this. Claiming authorship is to claim ownership and responsibility for the text. It is to assert one's natural right to shape the text and determine the path and outcome of the argument. So don't forget that you are the writer, right? You own the text, right? You own the text. And there should be somewhere in the beginning of an article that tells us, yeah, who owns this? Who's telling me what I want to know? So for example, I was just looking for some texts before we started the session today, and I found a few. So for example, here's an academic article, highly academic, and this is coming from the science world. Now I'll tell you, in the science field, we rarely hear the word I, right? Science writers won't say I, because the article, it's not about the scientist, it's about the science, right? So they're very, very objective. But right here in the introduction, you will see, again, highly academic, highly scientific language. But we see here, the aim of this paper is to present and argue for such a categorization schema rather than lumping different interventions together, da, 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 da. But what do we see very clearly? I argue that we should individuate